Everybody ready? Nancy, Katie, all set? It is 7 p.m. Welcome to the City of Manistee Planning Commission, March 2nd, 2023. Please rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States
of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please take roll.
Commissioner Slawinski?
Here.
Commissioner Szymanski? Commissioner Weiner?
Here.
Commissioner Memberto?
Here.
Commissioner McBride?
Here.
Commissioner Yoder? Chair Whitliff?
Here. Thank you. Approval of agenda. This time the Planning Commission can take action to approve the March 2nd, 2023 agenda. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
A motion by Shelley, second.
I'll second.
By Pam. Discussion? None. Please take roll.
Commissioner Slawinski?
Yes.
Commissioner Weiner?
Yes.
Commissioner Memberto?
Yes.
Commissioner McBride?
Yes.
Chair Whitliff?
Conflicts of interest. Is there any commissioner that has any conflicts of the agenda tonight? None. The only thing that I have is I live about 2 blocks away, or roughly a block away from the duplexes.
I'm with him.
So,
Okay. I live close too.
You too.
Yes. I got a letter from Katie because I was within the distance.
approval of minutes. Planning Commission can approve the February 2nd, 2023 meeting minutes.
I'll motion.
Motion by Bob, second.
Second.
Shelley, discussion? None. Please take roll.
Commissioner Slawinski?
Yes.
Commissioner Weiner?
Yes.
Commissioner Memberto?
Yes.
Commissioner McBride?
Yes.
Chair Whitliff?
Yes, thank you. Correspondence?
None.
None, thank you. First up is Jeff McCullough, DPW Director.
Good evening. I know you've got a full agenda, so I will talk as long as you want, but I won't talk any longer than that. As you're probably aware, in Manistee, the Public Works covers a lot of bases. We are responsible for the water system, the sewer system, storm sewer, streets, sidewalks, the boat launches, the parks, refuse, bridges. What have I missed? I always tell people when they ask, in Manistee, if it's not on fire and it's not illegal, it's probably Public Works. So parks, all the parks, and boat launches and the marina. It just keeps going on and on. Couple things that could be of interest to you, because I know I've attended some of your meetings, and it often comes up with projects and developments as water and sewer. I will tell you that our last water general plan, which is an overall analysis of our entire water system, we have what is called firm capacity. So firm capacity is if you take a community like us that supplies water with water wells, if you take the largest well in our system out of service, can you still meet the very peak demand of the community? And we actually can take 2 wells out of service and still meet that peak demand. So as far as water supply, the community is in very good shape. We do have 1 well down right now, and it's being cleaned, which should add another 10 to 15 years of life to it. We test those every year to make sure that they're functioning and we can plan the appropriate repairs and maintenance on them. The bigger news is the sewer system. For 120, 30 years, we've been operating a sanitary sewer system in Manistee. So it started in the late 1800s, and at the time our system was a state-of-the-art system. We buried pipes, we connected homes, and we let the sewage go straight to the river and Manistee Lake. That was the state-of-the-art. In 1940, so 40 years later, we built a treatment plant, and we also built a pipeline along the water, so the river and Manistee Lake, both sides of the river. And we transported all those daily flows to the plant and treated those and then discharge that clean water. However, the collection systems were built as combined sewers. So we also collected the water from the streets, put them in the same pipeline, and the treatment plant wasn't built large enough to handle those flows. So when we had wet weather or when it rained, that water, as much as could fit down the pipe, would go to the treatment plant. The rest of it would really dump over weirs and go back into the lake. In early 1980s, so the next 40 years later, we started to separate those sewers. So we started building separate pipelines to carry the stormwater and separate pipelines to carry the sanitary sewer. We found that after all that separation was completed, that during wet weather flows, so when it's raining, when we get snow melt like this, there was more water coming to the plant than what the plant could treat. And we've studied it, found lots of different places. There were cross connections, there were catch basins that were still connected, there were parking lots that were connected, roof drains. But we got that down to where we believe most of the water, that excess water that's coming in, is coming from footing drains around people's houses and basements. Way too expensive to require every home to upgrade that. So 2020, take that again, 40 years later, we entered into a wet weather program with the state of Michigan. And essentially what we did was line about 5 or 6 miles of pipes in the city along with manholes so that excess water that was coming in, that would be sealed off. Then we built 6 million gallons of above ground storage, and we built a new part of our headworks plant, or we built a new part of our treatment plant called the headworks. So all the flows that come into the headworks are regulated, and there's a couple different treatment processes that happen at that point. But the significant thing is when flows exceed what the treatment plant can effectively treat, they dump into a weir, or they dump over a weir into a large chamber. That chamber then gets pumped up and fills those tanks. So we've got 6 million gallons of capacity to hold during a storm or a wet weather event. And then when the sun comes back out and the flows go back to normal, we simply drain those tanks back through and treat it and put it back into Manistee Lake. So that's been operational about September last fall. And we'd be happy to invite all of you. We're going to do a ribbon cutting this spring, allow people to take a look at all the investment that the community made. Very, very important, I think, to Manistee. As it relates to the Planning Commission, we review developments, site plans, just like you guys do. Public Works looks at it from a different perspective. We're looking at the impacts of city infrastructure. We've worked really well with both Zach and now Katie. I think we've got a great relationship there and good communication back and forth. And I would like to say if there's any time that you guys have questions or would like some sort of specific perspective from us, we're happy to lend that forward and even come talk to you about it. I think that the Hampton Inn was a really good example of that, where you had questions on some of the things they were proposing and helping us explain to you that some of the things they were proposing were things that we actually proposed. We had a really good compromise, and whenever developments come along, as a community, we look for opportunities on how we can make our community better as part of that. So staying with that example, they had 3 options on where to take their stormwater. One of the options was keeping it in a detention basin, almost a dry pond. But this park at First Street has stormwater needs as well. We were able to solve their issue, and they were able to pay to solve our issue. And so that's, I thought, was a very good compromise. Parking, that some of the overflow could be used in the large parking lot, the boat launch parking lot. But they've also pledged to pay for 25 new spaces in the beach area. The worst part of a water system is when you have dead ends. So when you have a pipeline and it stops. Dead ends tend to not flow as much water. The pressure gets lower as you get down to the end. So we've got a dead end at First Street, from Cherry to First Street. We still have lots of pressure. We've got good water quality there. But we also have a dead end on Harbor Drive. Now, Harbor Drive is much longer and goes all the way to the lots that are on Lake Michigan. In that instance, we've got a much smaller pipe, much longer distance. You've got residential uses at the end of it, so we have to flush that pipe more often, and the fire flow is not as great. There's just not as much water available to fight fires. We proposed a loop, a pipeline that would connect First Street to Harbor Drive. That developer agreed to pay for half of that construction cost, and we've got all the easements in place. A third of the pipeline is built. The rest of it should start within the next 30 days, I would say. And when that's completed, water quality will be improved to both of those areas, but the fire suppression at the end of Harbor Drive will actually double. So another good win. Taking that a little step further, you're aware that there's a brownfield plan for that. And some people get concerned with all the incentives that come about and so forth. But in this instance, we are able to capture some of the new taxes for a period of time on that property, and we're repaving the entire beach loop this spring. That project's out for bid right now, and with the 25 spaces that the hotel is going to pay for and provide, we actually have, just through working with the same footprint of the pavement, rework the geometry and how we're going to stripe it, stripe the parking and the drive lanes, and we're going to end up with another probably 15 or so spaces on top of that. So there's going to be 40 to 45 new spaces to the community. Plus we have a new curb cut into that large parking lot that doesn't get used very much, right? Except for holidays and when the salmon are running. And I think that when people realize that they can go to the end of First Street and pull off, it's a shorter walk from there to the sand than it is to go into Myers. So I just wanted to use that as a current example. With that, is there any questions or other topics that you have interest or would like me to speak to?
Bob, you have any?
Nothing I can think of.
Pam? Arlene? Shelley?
No, thank you.
Well, I got a couple. When does the bridge work start, Jeff? Memorial.
So the Memorial Bridge on US 31 is owned by the state of Michigan. They have designed a complete rehabilitation of that bridge and have bid it out. They have a contractor signed up, and the work is expected to begin in April. The latest I understand. They have not set the pre-construction meeting yet, but I expect that's going to happen this month. And what MDOT did, there's two major portions of work that require the bridge to be completely closed to traffic. So one is removing the steel grating, the decking that's on the bridge, removing that and replacing it. When they do that, they have to keep that closed to all traffic, to vehicular traffic, but it can remain open to vessel traffic. The other is to sandblast and paint it, just like we did with Maple Street last winter. They need to do that with this bridge as well. So MDOT has created two windows where, in days, there's a specific amount or a time frame from this date to this date, and say 50 days within that time frame that they can close that bridge 100% and do a full detour. I don't have that specific information in front of me, but if I recall, mid-July would be the first closure, and then I believe it's December is the second closure. And once we get once I attend the pre-con and get the information on what the contractor's projected dates are, I'll be presenting that to City Council. I know that we're gonna do an update at the DDA So that information will be provided to the public. So work is going to continue or begin this spring, but it's going to continue for the next year. And it will require lane closures. So you will still be able to traverse across the 31 bridge, but they're going to shift it down to do 1 lane north, 1 lane south, is my understanding.
Are they doing anything on the north side of the bridge with any reconstruction of this road?
They are not, as far as I know, they're doing the bridge itself, but not doing any of the road work. However, they have slated full reconstruction of US 31 from M55 to Harrison Street, which is that section just north of the bridge that they repaved, 15 years ago, 13 years ago. So Harrison to 55 is gonna be full reconstruction. In that same year, south of the bridge from Mason Street all the way to, I think it goes to Stronach Road, is also full reconstruction. That's about a $30 million project.
Well, it needs it, so.
And my understanding in talking with the officials from the state is that they do not plan on detouring that project. They plan on doing half-width construction. So it'll be 1 lane north and south, and kind of put the traffic on one side while they rebuild the other half, switching them over, kind of like you see them doing on interstates.
Well, that's good news for us, so.
Yeah.
It definitely needs it. You said they're gonna repave First Street,
Yes.
Lake Shore, South Lake Shore? Are they gonna take it right down to, what, gravel? It's probably cinders, isn't it?
No, it's actually gravel, but it varies in depth. So the plan is we've cored it, so we've drilled holes through the pavement, through the gravel, and into the subbase. So we know the depths of the gravel and we know the depths of the asphalt, and they vary around that whole loop, both the north and the south loop. So the plan is to pulverize it, where basically they grind the asphalt and leave it there. And then we've put quantity in to add new gravel to the top of it to get it to a minimum of 8 inches of full depth, and then 3 inches of pavement on top of it.
Are you doing gutters?
The only place that we're putting curb and gutters in, if you go to the end of First Street and to the north on the right-hand side, just above that parking lot, we've got a lot of issues with stormwater that runs and erodes sand down into that parking lot. So I've asked to have curb and gutter put across there so we can control that water and stop some of the erosion. And then going south of that intersection, right in front of where the hotel would be, we're gonna put curb and gutter on both sides, because we're trying to narrow that up and prevent people from parking off into the edges, and
Okay.
get them off into the new spaces.
All right,
So those are really the only 2 places.
all right. Positive, I like it. Quincy Street? I got a few questions. Jeff.
No, I'm happy to answer them. So Quincy Street suffered 2 delays, really. One is there's a shortage of ductile iron pipeline in the United States. So because that project had water main, we bid it in the wintertime. We expected to build it in the spring. They could not get pipe until at minimum mid to late August. At the same contractor was also building the new pipeline. We built a 48-inch pipeline from our last overflow to the treatment plant. So it started at 5th Street, went down Ramstill, 7th Street, and then we kind of went kitty corner into the treatment plant. That contractor, Halleck has Quincy, Halleck had that contract. They were also the site contractor on the Headworks plant. So there were some delays for them. And so we had a neighborhood meeting with the people on Quincy Street, and we said we still want to start, but we don't think we're going to be able to finish. And the question came up: when you say not finished, does that mean no pavement? And I said I've been trying to make sure that we at least get our course of asphalt down. and the residents said gravel will be better than the potholes we have. So we went ahead and started that, and we got about a third of the way. So as soon as the frost laws come off, we expect the contractor will remobilize and complete that. And our goal is to have that done before, by June. So we're ahead of when the detour route takes place.
So they're all getting curbs and gutters, right?
There's no curb and gutter. The only curb and gutter on that is at the intersection of Washington and then along Cleveland. When it goes around the corner back to Monroe, that's actually Cleveland Street, that short stretch, next to Chapo's.
Yeah. Okay. So did you lower the road or raise it or what?
We lowered it. If you ever drove that street, and that's one of the things that always blew people's mind is how could this project be so expensive? It's just a short stretch and we just want it repaved. But we had some sanitary sewer work that needed to be done and should have been done when we tore up the road. But also the road was higher than the sidewalks. So all the stormwater went to the sidewalks and then it went to yards. And that's just not proper. So what we did was lowered the road about a foot, roughly. And when we did that, then it didn't provide enough cover over the water main. So we replaced the water main and buried it at the proper depth.
That's crazy, right?
Okay. I think that's it, Jeff. Thank you. Thank you for your time and updating us.
Absolutely. I'm always happy to share information, so don't be afraid to ask.
So the tour, is it April? Penny?
We haven't set a date. I'm guessing May. I'm
May?
hoping it'll be in May when we get
Okay.
a little better chance at warm weather.
Yeah. Hopefully.
Yep.
Okay.
All right.
sir.
Thank you.
Next, Mr. Mark Miller.
Good evening, everyone. For the record and for the audience, Mark Miller, Director of Economic Development and the DDA lead. I work for the Manistee Area Chamber of Commerce. Jeff mentioned the Hampton Inn. I'd like to start there. We have, the chamber staff has toured the hotel. They are on track for their completion timeline. And the views from the rooms and from the restaurant are stunning. Pioneer Construction would be happy to take you on a tour if you haven't been up there lately. But it looks absolutely fantastic. Now, I know you all have heard me say it many times, but for somebody back here, that hotel project's projected to do $17 million a year of annual visitor spend, which is $3.8 million in restaurants because of the visitation. So that's a good place to start with the rest of my report. There's going to be a lot of interest in our area for building out that tourism infrastructure, and that's where I'd like to tell you what's going on with some of the things we've been reporting on. So the Chamber and the DDA have been working with a number of restaurants that are reopening or starting up new. 318 River Street, that's the old Fillmore. There's going to be a new restaurant starting in May. That will be very exciting. The operator has not made any announcements on format, so I'm going to let that be a secret for now. 350 River Street is open. That's River Street Station Bar and Grill. So it's now open and doing well. I've been working with the owner of the property. There's, and you all know him well, doing well. We have been working with a new restaurant at 91 and 99 Arthur Street. That's the old Little Caesars building that's on Manistee Lake. The parcel splits and everything that was done a few months ago actually allowed for this development to move forward. There will be a very exciting restaurant called Lakeside Social. It'll be able to be accessed from the water and the road, and we'll have a lot of outdoor dining options. And a superstar chef has been recruited to do that project. So if you watch Chopped or Iron Chef, and can Google Jason Tillman, you might see some of his work. 431 River Street is a local restaurateur who is going to open the tapas type format. And so we're waiting to get word on when that will open. He tells me he's on track and hopefully be open this summer. We've got 3 other either sweet shops or restaurants that are looking for space. And that kind of leads me into a couple of thoughts here. We are always struggling to find appropriate spots for new businesses. We don't have a shortage of new businesses. We need spaces that are available and able to be moved into. And so that's been our challenge. And we have to get very creative, and we have to use partnerships like abatements to make that happen. But with the city or with a township or such, and so that is where we're at with that. We also, in addition to the Hampton Inn restaurant, will have the Emerald Cove moving forward at the old Music Vault, 348 River Street, and I think that covers the 8 solid brick and mortar ones that we're working on at this point. A word on housing. I mentioned it last time. All of these new businesses, I mean, the hotel itself is going to be 50 new positions. We need housing. We need all sorts of housing. And one of the things we've been working on is in Manistee Township, a large project there that currently is awaiting the developer to put in an application for a Commercial Redevelopment Act abatement. Spoke to that developer, the site consultant for them. They're moving forward. It's just going slowly, and we hope to keep working with them. If you'll recall from the news or in passing, that's 288 units. And so we're really in need for at least 900 in the county, 500 apartments and 400 single-family homes. So if there is anything, and you continue to do your work to support housing options, our employers, our major manufacturers, and everyone needs that for what's coming. All right, and then I will stop there. We also do business retention visits. There's always information in the monthly report on that, but expansion, working with manufacturing, that sort of thing is there. But I will stop there and see if you have any questions for me this month.
Marlene?
No.
Shelley?
No.
Pam?
2 parcels that I was interested in and see if there's any action on is where the Olson's grocery store used to be, and then the lumber as well.
Okay. They are 2 separate, yep. On the Olson's grocery store, we have been in touch with the land trust, the Olson's Land Trust. They have expressed an interest in partnering or selling, and we're trying to find a developer that would be interested. So we've pitched the idea, but we haven't really landed on anything quite yet. That's promising. Could be housing, could be other things. So we have that in our mind as one of our potentials. There's not a lot of opportunity, as you know. We haven't had the discussions recently about the lumber yard. That's a great opportunity. It is challenging with the road work, but we haven't had anybody interested in that. Those are those 2.
Okay.
If any of you all, especially those who work in real estate, have any leads or something to where the chamber and the economic development could help, we'd love to try to do that, because those are some prime options for us. One more point on this, just to make it harder. We are constrained in the county by where we have water and sewer, because developers do not want to develop where they can't have an easy access. So we can find smaller scale developers who will do septic and wells, but the footprint on the land makes it really hard. And I'm working on one project in Arcadia right now, and the wellness septic is a real challenge. And so, you know, that's a victory to do something in Arcadia with mixed use and housing, but we have to focus on what's available. So those parcels are there's only so much land, and that's a real challenge. Thank you.
Mark, anybody? No. The building that is newly sold and the exterior has been repainted next to China Buffet. So I see that they split the businesses, and there appears to be the one that we know about. Is there another one planned, or is that still out for lease? Or
I do not know, and I have not spoken to the tobacco chain that purchased the Family Video Store. My understanding is that it is available. We've been trying to locate a few businesses. Being next to a tobacco store is kind of tough. But we are, if we have someone who's interested in that space, we would reach out.
Bob?
Anything on that development that's supposed to go in the Filer down by, down in the hole, because that'll affect the water and sewer for the city also, because they're co-connected systems.
Yeah, so Filer has been working with a developer on that project, and that's the latest that I have on that. I don't know what the timeline is, but in the newspaper, they're talking still years out, so it might be a while before we see something there. So that's the best I have.
Mark, what about, you know, the economic development? Is anything for industry? Reached out to any industry?
So, one, if we have an opportunity to recruit smaller manufacturing here, we do work with folks to try to get them here. And most of the interest we've had so far has been in the industrial park out on M55. And that's the size and scope and scale that we're talking about. We've taken leads from you, Mark, from Thoroughbred Boat Company to try to relocate folks here, but it's been on the small scale. We at the Chamber get the MEDC notices for larger industry. So there are site requests coming in from out of state or from large scale development. I look through all of those every week. I will tell you that by and large, those are tailor-made for Southern Michigan. Large-scale acreage, labor force requirements, airport and interstate requirements, and that kind of constrains where we're at. In terms of the business park that we have and the acreage that the city has out on M55, there are small and large parcels that would be suited for some of those. There's been some interest, and we will send things to the realtor of record for the city, but we by and large don't have a lot of interest because of the constraints here with that. We did do an MEDC study that showed power and everything else that will be out there at the Renaissance Park. We can turn those over, but we don't have a lot of interest. So getting a factory with 300 jobs or 100 jobs is going to be a rare shot and probably not likely to happen. But if it were ever to come up, we would scramble to try to increase our fantastic manufacturing base.
We do need lumberyard, though. Kind of lumberyard poor all of a sudden.
I would agree with that. With SOMSL and then the other one down in near PCA. You know, those are unfortunate that we have them leaving and with war, but we certainly could use that. So retail's been a challenge for us. So even specialized retail. We've been working with some real estate groups that are trying to fill retail spaces in Filer Township, and it's just very difficult to recruit. And I think the pandemic has done a number on us for that. But if we can find somebody, you know, But there's Somsel still out in Calava, and then there's Gilroy. So,
Onekama,
yeah,
so.
there you go.
Did you have anything, or did the chamber have anything to do with bringing U-Haul to the old Kmart building?
No. No. So that would have been Filer Township EDA.
All right. Well, they're doing a lot of progress there.
Yeah.
I've met the manager that's there, and he's a really go-getter.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's managing about 3 different locations for U-Haul.
Wonderful.
And he lives over in Mesick.
Okay.
New thing over there too, just the South Dakota Huskies.
We do business retention visits. It might be good to put that one up on the list, see how they're doing, and check in with them. So I appreciate that, Bob. We'll
Seems
put
like
that
every
on.
time I look at it, they're punching a new hole in the walls, putting more doors in, so.
Good. So just one thing, and I'll, for the staff, for your staff, working with the county county planning department, we work very closely with Katie and Mike and Nancy and others. We work very closely, and it's a great partnership, but there's a lot of work that's being done, and Katie's doing a fantastic job. But I just want to point out one thing, and we talk about this in our weekly meetings, that the pace at which the work is coming in for the planning department is rapidly accelerating and has been accelerating. And, I think there's a lot of things that are being handled very well, but we are trying to make her very busy, and we're being successful. So the pace at which we're working here is probably unusual in the last few years, at least that's what I'm told. And for Katie and I, we can feel it and we can see it. So we're excited to be working at this particular point in time. And I'll also say thanks to you, because we're going to be sending you a lot of stuff here too. So you're going to be very busy.
That's good.
So we'll keep it
We
up.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, public hearing, special land use request 206 Cypress Street drive-through establishment. Would the applicant please come to the podium? Oh, by the way, it is, we're opening public hearing at 7:37.
Excellent. Good evening, everyone. I am Scott Bell from Lapham Associates. I'm here tonight representing Pizza Rock Stars with a special use application for a drive-through restaurant. This is located on Cypress Street at the corner of 2nd Street and Cypress, an existing building that is being renovated. I believe it's historically had been a professional services, a medical type facility, I believe, small office. Their intention is to take that building, renovate that, and put in a lobby off to the front side, off the street side, for pickup, as well as a drive-through window. Fairly small operation. The site itself, we were able to actually reduce the impervious areas on that. We have only, I believe, 9 parking spots, a small handicap spot, and several other spots on the south side of the lot. We have a garbage enclosure there, but there's no indoor dining based on your zoning. Actually, technically, we need 0 parking spots, but we've provided some. We'll have some employees, and there will be people that will pick up. The drive-through itself, for purposes of the special use permit, we are in well, this says C1 and this is C2. I think it's a C2.
It is C2.
It is
yes.
C2, okay. It is a C2 district, which allows that, and hence why we're here tonight for the special use permit. There will be no ordering window like your McDonald's type of drive-through where you order. This is something that you'll pre-order and go and pick up. So you'll use the app, or you'll call in, or however you wish to do it. So the drive-through window really will only probably have 2 to 3 vehicles, is typically what you would expect at a facility of that size and that type at one time. But we do have a queue there. I believe we have room for 5 cars on our property in that drive-through queue. I think that pretty much addresses it. The front portion of the building will be a small lobby. We are including a bike rack, encouraging pedestrian traffic and other modes of transportation to the facility. Katie's done a wonderful job working with us on the site plan. You can see some of the signs there. We will be doing the existing monument sign there will be replaced with a newer sign, a domino sign, of course, and a building sign will be included as well. On that note, I think really for purposes of the drive-through, I think we've addressed everything there, so I'll let you, if you have any questions from the Planning Commission, be happy to try and help you with those.
Okay. Marlene?
Well, when I first came to Manistee, that was an ice cream parlor, little.
Well, we were always there.
Yeah. And
Both high schools were.
Have enough parking, you know, then it became other things through time and that.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm happy to see another empty building coming back to life. And we have a lot of empty buildings.
We have some.
Sounds like not enough. Trying to get businesses, so.
Housing.
Not enough housing either.
Not
Yeah,
enough
it's the
housing.
labor force is a big thing.
Anything else, Marlene?
No, I wish good luck.
Shelley? You're in the area.
I'm right in the area, yes. 3 doors down. Yeah.
Okay. Pam?
No, I'd love to have a Domino's in town.
Bob?
It was nice to see the building going full circle from where it was originally food, going back to food.
That was a hot little spot back in the day.
Yeah.
When it was a Dairy Depot, so.
I think we're hoping for it to be another hot spot, quite frankly, so.
I like the use of the monument sign out front. I wish more businesses could do that.
Mm-hmm.
Right across the street, maybe. So, I think it'll be a nice, if it passes tonight, it'd be a nice addition to Manistee.
Doesn't make me think of my days back at college yet.
That's where you were. You never went to class.
Hey, and Ferris was a pretty, very heavily used place down there.
Will this Domino's have a full menu like advertised on TV?
I'll defer to, yeah.
Okay.
Yes, it's planned to have a full menu.
Cool. Good. Draft beer? No?
Actually not. Bring your own, just don't let them see it.
Okay. All right.
Come sit in my backyard.
Okay.
There you
That too.
So will there be walk-in to pick up your stuff other than just the drive-through?
There will be a walk-in lobby as well. Just
Okay.
a small room there to pick up.
So similar to your competition right across the street?
Probably so, yes.
Okay. All right. Well, if there isn't any questions, thank you.
Thank you.
And Chair, I just had one item to add in relation to the parking for something for you guys to think about in case you had questions for them. So this is kind of a use not identified in the zoning ordinance for required parking because a drive-through doesn't have any required parking, they have no seating. But the zoning administrator does have the authority to give a parking allotment with concurrence of the planning commission. So I felt that the parking that they provided is appropriate for what they described with the walk-up window and if there's any, anyone waiting from the drive-through, whatnot. So I just wanted to make sure you're aware of that regulation and that we are kind of determining their allowed parking. I wanted you guys to have that in mind.
Okay, thank you. Public comment, questions? Anyone in the audience has anything? Please come to the podium. State your name and address. You have up 3 to 5 minutes.
So Tim Carlson, the franchisee from Little Caesars across the street. And I think you kind of answered my question, but my only concern here was the queue for the drive-through. Just given, when I first reviewed the permit, it looked like there were only spots for 3 cars in queue. And, we're right across the street operating a similar type of pickup window. And, during dinner time, I was there today and, we're 30 to 40% busier in the summertime. And at any given point during our dinner time from 4 to 7, we have 5 to 8 cars in queue, moving through obviously as fast as we can, similar to how they will do as well. So that's my only concern is if there's not enough cars in queue, or not enough space for the cars to queue, where does that overflow go? We have room to fit, up to 10 So that would be my only question, just making sure, because if they're queuing on Second Street, it's going to be an impediment to our exit, to our entrance, and also to cars turning off of Cypress onto Second. So that's my only question, concern. Other than wish us both to sell a lot of pizza in the future here. But if that could be addressed, that was my concern and my reason for being here this evening.
All right.
Thank you.
Anyone else? And discussion. Start with Bob.
No, I think we're pretty good.
Okay. Meets everything that you want? Wings?
It's been a long day.
Yes, it has. Yes, it has. Pam?
No, I'm good. I think he answered everything.
Shelley?
To add to what the gentleman just said about queued parking, most of those homes that are in the immediate vicinity on Second Street, they're rentals, and they don't. Some of them have off-street parking behind the alleys. Most of the people park along that street there. So typically in the summertime, when they can park on both sides, that narrows the street considerably. So if they're, like this gentleman said, if there are more cars in queue, I would assume that they'll overflow onto Second Street. I'm sure it'll find its way, but I know that most of the people on that street park in front of their homes.
Marlene?
No, nothing.
Yeah, we kind of have the same type of thing with Dairy Queen. In the summer. They're backed up on First Street.
Yeah.
You gotta be a race car driver to get through, so. But I guess we'll have to see how it goes.
Sure, it'll be fine.
Just,
And I will add that this one was sent to the site plan review committee, and there were no comments on the traffic flow. So this has gone through our departments. I'm realizing as I'm saying this that I didn't include a memo for you guys with site plan review committee comments, but I believe the only comment was from the fire department to put a, what do you call it, like a bulliard in front of the gas meter. So I will make sure that is included as a stipulation for the permit. But other than that, there were no comments on the traffic flow.
did you get any letters from
I did not receive
residents?
any written comments.
Interesting. Okay. All right, with that, we will close this public hearing and move along. Pardon? That's true. It's 7:47. Close and open special land use request for parcel number 51670-711-04 duplex. And the time is 7:47. So applicant, if there's an applicant in the audience, please come to the podium. Name and address.
My name is Jeff Voss. I'm with Infrastructure C&E representing Real Property Ventures. Proposal is for, can we do these both at the same time? Is that possible?
We'll have to close one and do the other.
Yeah, it seems a little redundant, but because they are two separate parcels, they're two separate requests. So yes, you can be more brief maybe in the next public hearing.
The application has been tailored specifically to meet everything within the zoning ordinance. The only thing that I can think of that, and I'm not saying there might be something you're aware of, is sidewalks along the street. We have moved building back from the 15-foot front yard setback to 19 feet from that in order to afford a parking space on the driveway without that car straddling the sidewalk. I showed the sidewalks as optional just because I wasn't sure if you wanted them there. So that's your call according to the ordinance. We basically have 1,194 square feet on the main floor, a great room kitchen, a bath and a half, and then it's a walkout basement with two bedrooms and a full bath in the basement. Fits well with the contours of the land. We have a lot of contours, a lot of default, and a lot of trees. We're trying to save whatever trees we can, but those that are directly affected by the construction, we'll lose them if we don't take them at the time we construct.
They're locust trees, so you can get rid of them. They're awful trees.
Heaven trees. Where are the heaven trees?
aside from that, I'll answer whatever questions I can.
Okay. Start with Marlene.
I drove around through there trying to look at the area and stuff, and there was no, couldn't find a street address, you know, or parcel numbers was the only thing I had. And this will have off-street parking, not,
Each unit will have a 2-stall garage, and in addition to that, there will be 2 parking spaces in the driveway in front of the garage and beyond the sidewalk. So 4 parking spaces per living unit.
With Marlene?
I'm good.
Okay. Shelley?
Nothing.
You sure?
I'm sure.
Pam?
Are you looking at short-term rentals for these?
Not really.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No, I don't think so.
That was the right answer, thank you.
Bob?
Yeah, seeing it next to that, be those 2 lots right next to that real estate office there by the dentist's office. Got to put something there, make it look good. It's just,
Yeah, it's been vacant forever in a day.
and it's almost going, to looking at the plans, it's almost going to match the type of building that's on the corner there a little bit.
Yeah.
So it'll be the same type of split level type thing,
Yeah.
so
Must be that
it'll fit. Yeah, pretty good.
Displace the deer. I mean, that's good, because I live a block away from there, so get them out of there. And the trees. So, I think it's a nice, yeah, I'm losing my train of thought, so excuse me, development. So, and you answered the right question, no short-term rentals. We really don't need that in this town.
We understand.
We have too many, and it's becoming a thorn. You mentioned sidewalks.
In the right of way, yes.
I don't know what everybody thinks about a sidewalk.
I'd like to see them,
Yeah.
because you're gonna,
I didn't think.
there's nothing there now, but eventually people are gonna wanna walk from there to go to the grocery store, go to the dentist office there,
Yeah.
something a little more better than walking in the street.
We're all for it.
And your lighting plan for, I know I'm jumping ahead for the next, or, the next duplex hearing, but what about a lighting plan? What are you gonna do on that?
The only thought was that you'll have lights at every exterior door like you have on your house. You know,
Okay.
you'll have a light outside your garage door, you'll have a light outside your front door, you'll have a light outside the back door where you walk out to, but they're not expected to be anything overly bright or
Okay.
just conventional.
And because it was a residential property with residential lighting, I did not require a lumen plan. And I will just kind of double down on the parking, or I'm sorry, the sidewalk requirement. For duplexes, for this type of special use, the zoning ordinance does give you the authority to decide if you want to have sidewalks or not, so.
You're gonna have, I know, fully grass, the lot will be grass, you have underground sprinkling for it,
I'm assuming, yes.
Right. AC and everything? Okay.
There's a lot of slope, we're gonna have some stabilization issues.
Yes, there is a lot of slope there.
Mark, how big are those lots?
Good size.
Probably, well,
The lot size?
They're about 80 by 132, so like
So that's-
10,500
yeah.
square feet.
yeah, that's legal.
Bigger than a city lot.
Yeah. So city lot is what, 70?
74?
60.
7,400?
For a single family, it's 6,000 square feet, 60 feet wide in our resident, or at least in the R2. And then for a duplex, it's the 10,000 square feet.
Okay,
7,500, something like that.
okay. Any other questions by the commission? No? Okay, thank you, sir.
You want me to sit down and come back?
And we'll open up for public comments, if there's anyone in the audience that has any comment on this public hearing? None? Okay, we'll close that public comment. Move along to discussion. Starting Marlene.
No comment.
Okay. All right, Shelley? None. Pam?
No, he answered my question. It was, and with the right answer. That's the only thing I was concerned with.
Okay, excellent. Bob?
Yeah, it's gonna, like I said, it's gonna fit in with the existing building to the east, more or less, and maybe that'll get that other building on the far corner on the west of that and fix the house up a bit.
Oh, yeah. That's a duplex.
What's that?
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, so maybe somebody will fix that one up when he sees the other two next door,
Yep.
then improve that block.
pressure. A little peer pressure there.
Yeah.
All right. It is 7:55. We will close this public hearing and move along to special land use request 51-670-711-08. It is 7:55. And if the applicant could come up again, if there's any other questions. So I think we covered. If you have anything.
This one is immediately west of and adjacent to that which we just talked about. There's a vacant lot to the other side of this one and between it and the house to the west. Other than that, it's nearly exactly the same. It'll probably have a little different color or architectural flair so that they don't look the same.
Now, is there, I don't know about that area, is there water and sewer?
Yes, sir.
On those lots? Okay. Excellent.
There is no curb and gutter. As such, we've been a little bit reserved in trying to send water to the right of way.
And well, that brings up another question on the runoff from the houses, from the duplexes. How is that handled?
Well, because of the size of the lot, there's not a whole lot we have to do. We are collecting the water from the eaves, the gutters, and we intend to put that into we've got a perforated pipe that we're gonna put down the slope on both sides in order to discharge that water into that perforated pipe rather than creating a problem with it going over land on those steep slopes.
How big a perforated pipe are you talking about?
Probably just a 6-inch.
Okay.
Is there anything on that, Katie, that you can focus on, water discharge?
Really, for our residential properties, it just is that stormwater needs to be controlled on your own property. Given, as he indicated, given the size of the lot, I don't think that'll be too much of an issue with the, extra infrastructure that they're incorporating as well. I don't imagine that this parcel will have, excess stormwater runoff relative to any other, reasonably sized residential property.
Okay, thank you.
You guys looked into what soil types are there on the site?
Not really.
Okay.
I had to deal with them no matter what they were.
I was just thinking if there's more of a sandy soil in there, that'd help the,
I would think.
Well, with locust, yeah, they love
Yeah.
sandy soil.
I think that's what the soils maps say, but
Yeah.
can't count on that all the time.
When do you expect to break ground if approved?
I think that could happen, and we have plans that we believe are suitable for a building permit, so if we come away today, I think that could happen very quickly.
Quickly being what, like
Months, weeks.
May, maybe?
I don't think it'll go that long.
Okay.
I know, we had some conversations yesterday about getting started right away.
All right.
So it sounds like financing for one is on track.
So you're gonna build one and then maybe next year build the next one?
Yeah, probably won't do, well, it depends on demand a little bit. Gotta walk carefully.
Sure. Because there is on a special use, there is a
2-year.
two-year window.
Yeah, I don't expect there to be a problem.
Okay.
But if you feel like you're not going to meet that deadline as well, you could always come back to the planning commission for an extension prior to your permit expiring if it's not built out.
Gotcha. Okay, 2 years.
yeah, it'd help if the second unit's under construction at that time too. That would just,
Yeah, that would be,
it just shows us the good faith that it's going and,
All right.
And this has no bearing on the outcome, but what do you think fair market would be as far as rental prices?
Well, we're actually thinking pretty close to $550 for the building. So for the 2 units, 275 each, roughly. But it's not being split into a condo.
And how, well, with was it Real Ventures?
Yes, sir.
How many other properties do you have? I know you're based out of Grand Rapids.
Yes, sir. A couple. It changes every day. I would say there's a dozen or so. There are 2 others in town.
In Manistee.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Near the high school.
All right. Thank you.
Okay?
And there were no written comments received for this one, for either of the duplexes, but I did want to add that I talked to Mick earlier when he had let me know he was under the weather, and he wanted to make sure it was added, for his comment that he had gone out and visited the property, and he thinks it's a great location for, both properties are a great location for a duplex, that it would be fitting with the character and minimal impact on the neighborhood. So he just wanted to make sure that was heard during the public hearing as well.
Okay, thank you. And public comment on this, if there's anyone? Has anything? None? Okay. Discussion? Bob?
Nothing.
Pam? Shelley?
We need more housing.
Yes, we do. Marlene? Okay. Okay, it is 8:01. We'll close that public hearing and move along to the last one, which is zoning amendment Z 23-01, feather flags.
Yes, so I received complaints from city council. It was kind of one of my little projects over the summer, taking down all the feather flags around the city. So that was something that we were enforcing on, and although zoning is not permissive and feather flags are not identified in the zoning ordinance, which does mean they're not currently allowed, I was directed by the city manager to add feather flags into our zoning ordinance as a prohibited sign so that it's clear for business owners that this type of signage is not allowable. So the language that I put together for this is contained in the draft ordinance Z2301, and we are going to propose to add to the definition of sign, feather flag, which is a sign, which is a flag 5 to 15 feet tall that is commonly made of lightweight polyester material and mounted on a sectional pole made of fiberglass, PVC, or aluminum, used to advertise a company and draw attention to an event or business. Common shapes of feather flags include but are not limited to blade, teardrop, and rectangle. Can also be referred to as feather, banner, or swoop flag. And then I'm also going to add the following image to the zoning ordinance. So yes, as I indicated, this is already not allowable, but we are making it clear within the zoning ordinance that it is not allowable. And I did not receive any written comments on this public hearing.
How many, well, last year, how many flags were in the city?
Probably about, I'd say 6 or 7. Yeah.
On the highway or?
There was a couple on 31, and then, Washington Street, there was one. Yeah, mostly on 31 though, I would say. Uh-huh.
So they're not allowed anywhere on the property, not just out by the road, they're nowhere?
Correct, yep, they're not an allowable, type of signage, yep.
Do they use, and I'll ask everybody on the commission, do they use that type of flag over at the farmer's market? I haven't been there, so I don't know.
They do.
Aren't they
Now
meant
that
to
you
be
say that.
temporary?
Yeah.
They have.
Yes.
Yes.
When they're open, it's their open sign.
And that is something that I can address with council. I am not sure that the farmer's market goes through like a temporary activity permit or anything to that effect. But I will make sure to address that with the city manager and council for the farmer's market as well, because I think you are correct that they utilize those over at the church
Yeah.
during their event.
So they're not,
Because normally I've only seen those flags when they're open, and they've been taking them down when they're closed. It's like, okay, hey, we're open, and now we're closed.
well, I assume that they're meant to be temporary, so.
Yes.
Yeah.
So they're saying that they're just not allowable at all, not even under temporary.
Correct.
Okay.
I've got some little bit of issues with that, because you got somebody having a grand opening.
Right.
you have Stuff open there.
Yeah.
If it's only temporary.
Yeah.
It's not like where you see,
They're meant to catch your eye,
yeah,
whatever reasons.
and I can see putting a time frame for them to be out.
Mm-hmm.
And not prohibit them completely, but it's just have time frames that can have them. That's just my thoughts on it.
Okay. Well, we'll get that in discussion, but, is that all, Katie?
Yep.
Okay. Public comment, if there's anyone that has anything to say on the swoopy flags? None? Okay, we'll move to discussion. Okay. And Bob has already discussed that, so Pam?
Well, we used them a lot at the office, to let people know when we were open or not. I'm kind of leaning, Bob, that, for like the farmer's market, maybe temporary use, just to let them know that they're open, especially if the tribe is gonna be putting anything like that on the empty lots. They had maybe mentioned doing something like that this summer. I personally don't like them, but I think a ban might be a little harsh.
Shelley?
I'm curious, did something facilitate a ban or an overall, this can't be done, or has that always been in place, it just wasn't enforced?
Yeah, I think it's something that's kind of always been in place, but not necessarily enforced, because as you guys know, we work on a complaint basis, and at the beginning of summer, we got a complaint from, whether it was an individual city council member or collectively, the city manager had asked us if they were allowed per zoning, and when looking at the zoning ordinance for this specific type of signage, it not being identified, we indicated that it's not allowed. So I know that also for like temporary activity permits, council can approve different types of signage. So that's why I'm wondering if the farmer's market is under some kind of permit, because council can approve that type of signage underneath that temporary activity permit. But yeah, I'm thinking that it's something, if they were popping up previously and it was a non-issue, it was just something that wasn't being enforced upon. And
I'd be much more inclined to support something like, if you have a grand opening, if you have a big sale or something, like I said, they're meant to catch your eye. As far as marketing, we could become nose blind to the things that we drive by on a regular basis. So I think taking away something that really is so simple for businesses, but if they went through some simple process of it, some temporary permit, but just to say that they're banned, like you said, I think is kind of harsh. I think if you're gonna try to leave it up for a year, yeah, we should have an issue with it. But if it's temporary, it goes up, it comes down during a certain time period, then I don't see an issue with them.
Really?
I think once you're established and people know you're there, I don't see the need for them. But like if you're just opening that week or something, it draws attention to a new business or something.
Well, we have a perfect scenario with Domino's,
Yeah.
so,
I've been through many towns with my work, and I'll see a lot of businesses will have one house that's open, but then you go by there, and then later on, when they're closing, the sign's gone.
Yeah.
It's just basically, we're open sign.
Let people know.
I'm curious, this wouldn't affect, there are also those rectangular, kind of like little banner things that people put out in their yard sometime. Would they fall under this as well?
I'm not sure if I know what you're referring to.
They've got yard signs that people have like these.
They're decorative yard signs that people put out, they're like little banners and stuff.
Yeah, like they'll have the season on it or something.
Yeah.
Spring or
I mean,
summer
when we're getting
flowers.
into residential properties, I tend to consider some of those things more so like yard decorations over
I
signs.
just wanted to make sure. that
Yeah,
they
so
weren't being-
yeah,
Okay.
I wouldn't consider those to be looped in with what we're talking about now.
Kind of those type of signs for special events at the school.
Yeah.
I think SDI has already,
I think they have, yeah. They-
for games and
Yeah,
Yeah.
things like that.
fundraisers,
A temporary permit at zero cost
right, zero cost.
I think would help the business out or high school. Because we're gonna have new businesses downtown, come this summer. Just, we need to get customers into their doors, so, and that'll catch the eye, and
Yeah.
temporary for a week, that's fine.
Or certain times of the day have them out and
Yeah, yeah.
something that they can take in and out.
Okay.
Was the complaint from the city council person, was it because the flags were there, or were they impeding people on the sidewalk, or did
I
they
think
say
it's just the aesthetic of the feather flags. They're not desired. So that's kind of, I think that's kind of where it originated from.
what? Okay.
But if you guys are wanting to, you know, potentially allow for feather flags to an extent, that would be the recommendation to council when this amendment is brought to them, that, you know, the planning commission is actually looking to allow for these on a temporary basis, and then council can take that recommendation or not when looking at this language.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
100%.
That's what I'm thinking
That's
it
what
is.
it is, yeah.
Is
Yeah,
there
I
a
think-
time frame going to be put with this, like a new business? Are they allowed week, 2 weeks?
That is, yeah, I think that is what we would want to do if that's the route that you guys are wanting to go. That if we say for up to 7 days with the issuance of a temporary flag permit, you know, specific for new businesses or something to that effect. I don't know that's the route that council's anticipating, but if that is your recommendation, then that's what we'll put together. And yeah, we can talk about that either, I guess either now or under your new business item. We can try to finalize some language. Or I just thought of another thing, we could add this to our work session agenda and discuss it on the 9th a little bit further to hash out some more concrete language for it.
That might be a better use of time than.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
I wouldn't mind limiting it, just new.
so we can move that to the 9th. Okay. Okay, it is 8:12. Excuse me. We'll close that public hearing, move along to public comment on agenda-related items. If there's anyone in the audience that has anything, please come to the podium, name and address, and I do ask that you address the council, or the commission, excuse me, and no interaction with the audience. So if there's anyone that has anything. Nothing? Okay. New business. Special land use request, 206 Cypress Street, drive-through establishment. Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion, we approve it.
I'll second.
Motion by Bob, second by Shelley. Any discussion? None, please take roll.
Commissioner Slawinski,
Yes.
Commissioner Weiner,
Yes.
Commissioner Memberto,
Yes.
Commissioner McBride,
Yes.
Chair Whitliff.
Motion approved. Land use special, special land use request, lot 51-670-711-04 duplex. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion, we accept.
Any,
Second.
want to see a sidewalk?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
with
that
sidewalk.
with the addition of.
Sidewalks.
Sidewalk.
Okay,
Sidewalks.
okay, so the motion is to approve,
With the addition of a sidewalk.
addition to approve, so Marlene, and then Bob? Is that all? Okay, please take roll.
Commissioner Slawinski,
Yes.
Commissioner Weiner,
Yes.
Commissioner Memberto,
Yes.
Commissioner McBride,
Yes.
Chair Whitliff.
Yes, thank you. Special land use request, 51-670-711-08 duplex. Is there a motion?
A motion that we grant that with the stipulation of a sidewalk being added.
Okay,
Second.
by Shelley. Any further discussion? None, please take roll.
Commissioner Slawinski,
Yes.
Commissioner Weiner,
Yes.
Commissioner Memberto,
Yes.
Commissioner McBride,
Yes.
Chair Whitliff.
Yes, thank you, congratulations. And then the zoning amendment, Z23-01. We talked about having this moved to the 9th for our work session. So do we need a motion on this to move it?
If we are going to discuss this further at the work session, I would request a motion to table the request until your, I would imagine, next regular planning commission meeting for April.
For April?
Yeah, because with the tabled, we have to remember to be specific on when it's going to be picked up again.
Okay, so April, okay.
So you
So-
wanted a motion on that?
Yes, please.
Make a motion to table the request to the next meeting, regularly scheduled meeting.
Okay. Second
I'll second.
by Pam. Any further discussion?
We're gonna move it to the work session, are we?
We're gonna move it to the April.
April work session, or no?
No.
We're gonna discuss at the work session, but the determination, action will be
Talk about
tabled
it next week,
until.
but then the week, then April will vote on it.
We'll have.
Correct. Yeah,
Okay.
because we don't take action at work
Got
sessions.
it.
Yep.
Okay, so we have a motion by Shelley, second by Pam. Discussion, none, please take roll.
Commissioner Slawinski,
Yes,
Commissioner Weiner,
Yes.
Commissioner Memberto,
Yes.
Commissioner McBride,
Yes.
Chair Whitliff.
Yes. Thank you. Let's see. Unclassified use determination, 24 Arthur Street.
Yes, so, I don't know if this is something that you guys feel comfortable taking action on without, I mean, this is for a specific property, but I guess this use, unclassified use could be considered for like the district as a whole. I did speak with the property owner, Ken Armour, and he said he would be here. But, yeah, so I'm gonna leave it up to you whether you wanna take action on this or not. But as you would have seen in the memo, there is the option for the planning commission to classify unclassified uses within the zoning ordinance. And for this specific property, they're looking to utilize it as kind of like an office and storage space for a restaurant that is off-site. Because it has the storage component and it isn't exactly what, because this is the closest use that I could find that I felt was fitting for it, the professional office, but it's not quite, fitting for that. But when looking at the impact and overall intent of the district and the impact of the use described, I felt that it was the most fitting with that and it wouldn't have any further potential generation of traffic congestion, noise, odor, dust, litter, and similar impacts. So, the zoning ordinance just allows for the planning commission to make a determination on these unclassified uses, and then I could issue a use permit accordingly for the property in question.
So do we need a motion on this?
Yes, I would request a motion indicating that the proposed use of a business office and dry storage is similar to the use of a professional office as a permitted use in the district.
okay, this is the Jarka building, correct?
The Red Barn?
This is the red barn.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then if
Yeah.
they're not here enough to speak about it, we table it to another time.
We could. That's
could, yeah.
entirely up to you guys.
I kind of like to
I
talk,
know we have that rule,
Okay.
so.
yeah,
All right.
I'd kind of like to talk to Ken, find out,
Need to find out what they got planned, really.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can have Ken make sure he's at the next meeting.
All right. So we'll entertain a motion to table to the April meeting.
I'll make that motion.
Okay. Second?
Dependent on the person showing up to
Yes.
present it.
That's that.
Second. Motion by Bob, second to table till April, our regular scheduled meeting in April. Second by Marlene. Any further discussion? None, please take roll. Good call. That way.
Commissioner Slawinski,
Yes.
Commissioner Weiner,
Yes,
Commissioner Memberto,
Yes.
Commissioner McBride,
Yes.
Chair Whitliff.
Yes, thank you.
we did.
Business? Have any old business?
Yes. Do you not have an updated agenda there? We had given you guys,
The street vacation.
Oh,
I thought we
Yeah.
did that already.
They changed-
We
they changed
did,
what the
I know,
vacation-
it's getting a little redundant with the street vacation request, but there was a slight modification to what you guys had approved previously. I had let the applicant know his attendance was not necessary because he was here for the initial, approval, and this has just been a little bit of back and forth administratively with, the city manager. But you guys had made the motion to approve the entirety of Second Street, and we were going to do some kind of easement over the sidewalk, but now it's been decided that we are only going to vacate, or the hope is for your recommendation to only vacate up to where the sidewalk exists. So up to the southern, all except the southern 5.5 feet of the right-of-way. And that is shown in the survey, the updated survey I provided for you guys. So you see that the sidewalk is essentially flush with the southern portion of the right-of-way. And the sidewalk is 5 feet wide, so we're gonna propose to vacate up to 5 feet. And then, yeah, and essentially, instead of retaining an easement, the city's just looking to only vacate up to that portion, which ultimately serves the same purpose. But we wanted to keep you guys in the loop and bring it back before you before it's brought before city council again as well.
Yeah, it makes good sense on that, that the city owns the sidewalk now, let the city continue to maintain it. And instead of expecting the property owner to the north to have to take care of it.
So do we need a motion?
Yes, please.
So is there a motion? Motion on this? You accept?
Is that what the motion needs to say, just to accept the?
Yes, to recommend approval of the street vacation, I guess as presented in the memo. You can
Basically,
send it.
a motion to approve the amended vacation request.
I'll second what Bob said.
Okay. Motion by Bob, second Shelley. Further discussion? None? Please take roll.
Commissioner Slawinski,
Yes.
Commissioner Weiner,
Yes.
Commissioner Memberto,
Yes.
Commissioner McBride,
Yes.
Chair Whitliff.
Yes, thank you. That's it for old business?
We have one
No,
more old business
one.
item. We have 77 Hancock, the Tabernacle Church, seeking a dumpster waiver for the dumpster enclosure requirements. And we have Seth here, to talk with you guys about that.
Good evening, Commissioners. I had brought a visual for you guys if I could supply you with a little more where we're planning on going.
Sure.
Based on some future additions with our parking lot that's going in.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I will take one if you got one, thank you.
Currently, we are in violation of the dumpster ordinance. As you can see where our dumpster is currently located at the red X. We are currently in the process of redoing our parking lot with the existing asphalt that'll be added and developed into what you see there. What we're asking for a waiver on this for is the blue X would represent where the dumpster will go back to, a similar location. However, within that dotted line to the south near First Street, there's also lines of trees that you guys had requested and mandated to be a part of that for additional green space. And between that and the duplex that is there currently, we believe the dumpster will be mostly out of view from First Street, as well as being 100 plus yards off of Hancock Street. So we're well set back, and that dumpster will have very little eye-catching ability with that kind of setback, we believe.
Questions? Anybody?
Looking at where it's at now, is it possible we can maybe slide it a little farther north with a little bit more of a concrete pad to get it more close to the corner of the building back around there a little bit?
So currently we would love to do that. Our parking lot is scheduled to undergo the paving process within the next In talking with the contractors on Monday of this week, they're hoping by, as soon as those frost laws lift, that we are first on the work order for that. And so the request has been made by them to have it further up towards the road simply for any deterioration of the prep work they've done, which is why we currently have it near Hancock.
Okay. But I'm just thinking, once they get the parking lot done, is it possible where you might be able to just move it just a little more north once they get all that?
Beg your pardon. We can certainly check with Republic, who holds the contract, and see if that's
See if it's
doable
possible
spot.
for a truck to fit into more of a location around the
Just around the edge.
building a little bit, if they can maybe, or just around the corner, that would help a
Yes,
little
sir.
more hide it. That's just my thoughts on it.
Pam?
No, I don't have anything.
Shelley?
I'm good.
Marlene?
No,
I guess I would go along with Bob if it could be moved a little farther north. Get a letter from, if they can't. If you can't, we get a letter from Republic for Katie. So, okay,
It comes down to what Republic can actually get to.
right,
Yeah.
okay. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
So with that, is there a motion?
I motion to give them the waiver pending on the construction of the parking lot.
And I'm sorry to interrupt, just to be clear, did you guys want this to remain on a hard surface, or did you want it moved as far north as possible, even off of the hard surface? I just want to make sure that's clear for myself and
Probably pour a
the
concrete
property
pad or
owner.
something there.
yeah.
Okay.
A hard surface.
Okay, so are you requesting a pad be poured, or that it be moved to the furthest extent of the hard surface as presented on their proposed parking lot?
Mm-hmm.
Well, there is concrete in that area right now.
That'll be removed, the extension there. Do you need me back up at the mic?
Yeah, sure, come on.
So the current proposal for our parking lot and approved plan had our parking lot actually being squared off with the edge of the building there in your drawing. So it's an adjustment from the aerial that you currently see on the screen
Okay.
behind you.
So you're gonna plan to take out that existing concrete in that area?
Yes, sir. It's and part of that was the approval just for added green space since we took out so much at the south end of the property there.
Just wonder if we could just leave a little bit of that concrete so they can put the dumpster on it. Yeah,
Probably would be easier, just put a brand new pad in there.
yeah, probably just fit, just,
So that'll have a hard surface and then some kind of enclosure like is required?
Well, that's what they're requesting a waiver from, the requirement to enclose it. And I'm sorry to ask this question, but I'm just looking at this a little bit more closely. With the proposed area for the dumpster in blue, we have the retention basin. I just want, oh, okay, no, this is a continuation of the parking lot up here as well. Okay, that was throwing me off.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a strange drawing.
Big old cans.
Yeah, maybe not moving it north,
Wide enough to.
farther north with the retention basin there. Cause an issue with,
the truck.
The truck.
We'll have, almost have to have Republic come look at it to give us their recommendation.
Yeah.
If they, something where they feel safe for their trucks to go get the stuff.
Right. So you asked, no, Bob, are you asking for a hard surface?
I'd like to see a hard surface under it, just to, so in case any stuff spilled off the dumpster, it's not leaching into the ground, it's on, a hard surface would be cleaned up, it can be cleaned up a lot easier. It doesn't have to be concrete, it can be asphalt. Just a nice solid surface to, otherwise when they bring that dumpster down, it's gonna start digging into the dirt.
So your motion is with the hard surface?
Yeah.
Okay. And I think Marlene seconded it. So any other discussions? None? Please take roll.
Commissioner Slawinski,
Yes.
Commissioner Weiner,
Yes.
Commissioner Umberto,
Yes.
Commissioner McBride,
Yes.
Chair Whitliff.
Yes. Public comments and communications. Is there anyone in the audience that has anything? Please approach the podium. None? Okay, move along. Staff reports.
Yes, I have a couple things for you guys. I'm just gonna switch that so I can get my notes open here. So I did print off Bill's weekly updates so I could go through a couple things with you. You all hopefully noticed that the elevator's up and running. That was part of our updates.
Thank you.
Yes. And then we have, so parks were recognized. The Manistee Recreation Association selected DPW and the Parks Department to receive their 2023 Charles E. Thank you.
Shade.
Outstanding Service Award at the February meeting. So that's exciting. The Land Bank officially received the grant award for improvements and demolitions at 530 Davis Street, 1001 Kosciuszko, and 616 Engelman Street.
What were those addresses again, Katie?
530 Davis, 1001 Kosciuszko, and 616 Engelman.
What was the last one? I'm sorry.
No, you're good. 616 Engelman.
And 130 what?
Kazak.
Kosciuszko?
Yep, 1001 Kosciuszko,
I think I know that house.
and then 530 Davis was the first one.
These are scheduled to be done, or they're?
I don't have an update on a schedule yet, but I imagine the city's itching to get them taken care of if they've gotten through the process with the land bank. I can follow up on that though and get that to you. So the American Public Works Association Award for the Michigan chapter for Manistee Shoreline Protection. I guess Spicer Group and Swiderski were awarded this award, and from what I understand, it's kind of a big deal. They get to go to a award ceremony and such, so they're really excited about that. And then there has been some movement on the EDA Riverwalk with selecting an architect. They put it out for bid and got one proposal from Fishbeck, so that has been moving forward. And let's see. And then I don't know, I can't remember if Jeff had indicated this, but the city was able to obtain the water main easements over by the lake shore. So I know that was quite a process for them. So that's what I had for updates. And then I did just have a couple things from my staff notes that I wanted to go over with you guys. Mark, you had inquired about the old Ringel building, if that was being enforced on for blight, and I did bring it up at staff meeting. I don't believe it is currently, but it has been enforced on in past years. The way it was described to me is that currently it may not even meet the criteria for blight, even though it's not the best looking. It's not really considered a dangerous building per se, or at least when they had closed it out previously, but Chief Glass indicated that he could have Kevin, the building inspector, take another look at it and potentially pursue enforcement again. Roger had mentioned bringing up planning for training for 2023. So we can start looking into potential training ideas. The one training I had sent you guys, I meant to send to the HGC, but I'm sure that you could all attend as well if you wanted to. We had one HGC member on the planning commissioner list, so then I just saw her, I was like, oh, here we go, send it up. But yeah, if you guys are interested in that one, I could definitely inquire about getting some or all of you signed up. And then yeah, so we can just start thinking about it. If you guys see anything that you want to sign up for, let me know. I'll keep my eyes open for trainings, and then you still have your videos if you haven't done those. I'm going to get Marlene on hers next week. And then for our work session, I just wanted to remind and encourage you guys to potentially look at other zoning ordinances for the accessory building on corner lots idea, if there's anything in the master plan that addresses it. I had the one memo I put together for you guys with a couple of recommendations, but if you have any other ideas or want to look at other ordinances, I encourage you to do so. And then Tracy wanted me to just follow up on the information she had provided to you guys. Make sure you know that you can reach out to her with any questions. And she really wanted to have me encourage you to watch the video. She said that that's a really good video, and there is potential. It is technically like a training for those of you who have your Master Citizen Planner. How Mary Riley, she's always like, you know, any and all training is great for that, for those credits. I'm sure we could even get that to potentially count as a credit. So, yeah, that's all I have for you guys.
Nancy?
No.
Member discussion. Marlene?
Have nothing to discuss. I'm happy to hear there's some new things gonna be done and empty buildings being utilized, and seems like we're on the right path.
A few more housing units, it'll be good.
Yep. Bob?
Do you get any reports on those videos that we've been trained on, that we've completed them or anything like that? Or is it just, or does that just go to the,
No, I don't get anything reported to me that they were complete. If you want it to count towards your Master Citizen Planner, I think you can just reach out to, I don't know if it's Mary Riley directly for
yeah, 'cause
letting
it
you
does-
know
when
that those
when you finish them, it
credits.
doesn't give you any kind of certificate or nothing.
Right, and I think that was part of it being like the end of year bundle price, that it was just kind of like the recordings. But yeah, I'll ask Mary if there's a specific person at MSU. I know like 3 of you have your master, or at least 3 of you have your Master Citizen Planner certification. But I'll ask Mary if you guys need to reach out to her directly or another individual there to let them know that you've completed them. And I think it's a little bit, I'm assuming it's a little bit informal like that.
It has a thing you want, a thing to fill out at the end.
Right.
Saying you've completed it, but then.
Yeah,
But we don't get anything.
Probably just goes into a big file.
Yeah, so we don't even get to see any kind, no record saying that we did it.
In a database that, yeah, this person did it, but, yeah, there's,
Pam?
I don't have anything.
Shelley?
Yeah, I'm very happy that it's not gonna be short-term rentals in those duplexes.
Exactly.
I thought it was interesting that he said that for sale when you asked for the rent, like he's gonna try to sell them.
Well, I didn't understand the answer, and I should have followed up, and I didn't. When he said $550 for both units, $225 a month, a week?
I thought he
What
was
is
talking $550, like sale price. Yeah,
For
Okay,
both of 'em,
so
and
to
70 something
sell
for
them.
one.
each.
Okay,
Yeah.
I wasn't
And
sure
that
where he was
kinda,
going.
you know,
Because I
was
asked
like,
specifically about fair market rent, not
Right.
not a
right.
sale
I
price.
caught that too.
Sounds like he's trying to sell them for a single.
Okay.
It's not, yeah.
Yeah. Starter places for you people.
Well, I have nothing. Surprise, so. With that, thank you, Katie and Nancy. We went hour and a half, so
Yeah,
that's pretty
thank
good. Thank you to the Manistee News Advocate. Come, advocate. Excuse me.
You must.
And it is time. 8:37, is there a motion?
Motion.
Motion to adjourn,
Second.
second? Adjourn.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
See everybody next week.
Be sure who it was.
You'll be receiving your April packets from either